Video game graphics, alright. Now, while the gameplay is always the most important thing, we still like to highlight the games we thought looked the best this year in 2018. The way we make this list is we're looking for raw graphical power here. So think pretty textures, lighting, effects, more than art style and stuff. We're highlighting the big guns in video game graphics here. So let's get started off with number 10, and believe it or not, talk about Detroit Become Human. Cause just wow, I mean, say what you want about this game thematically or awkward story-wise, I really don't think there's any denying how good this game can look. Everything is super crisp and sharp, running on a PS4 Pro in particular. The facial animations are great. The mocap team absolutely killed it here. Sometimes it kind of borders on Uncanny Valley at times, but still, this ticks all the boxes we're gonna talk about with this entire video, like environments, lighting, facial animations, world density. It's all great. Obviously, it not being an open world game very much works in its favor, seeing that this is strictly a narrative game where the devs are able to be extra meticulous everywhere. There's a scene where you're playing as Connor and you pull up to a crime scene and it's dark and it's raining out, and you walk up to the scene of the crime and there's headlights and the cop car lights. It's all facing you. There's a little bit of lens flare and then there's light reflecting off of the rain puddles. It's all crazy, and it just shows how unreal the game can look at times. There's a couple parts where it looks a little weird, but when the game is at its best, it's amazing. Next up at number 9, we have Far Cry 5. The Far Cry games have always looked really nice. I mean, it's called Far Cry because it ran off of Crytek's CryEngine at first, right? So, duh, of course, they look really good. I mean, even with Far Cry 5 running on the Dunia engine, or Dunia engine, which is a Ubisoft modded version of the CryEngine, it still looks really great. Far Cry manages to have you in this crazy, detailed open world and then throws waves of enemies at you, maybe a bear or two, have shooting guns like crazy, blowing shit up, all while remaining pretty stable. Far Cry also handled early mornings really well, like the way the sun comes up and hits the vegetation, water, a little bit of fog, and the rest of the environment always looks really nice. Montana was a great setting to show off this engine, I think. It might not be like a tropical setting like the previous games, but there is some beauty in the United States, and it was cool to see Ubisoft show it off so well, especially if you got it running on a great PC like we do here. But next up at number 8, we got a PlayStation exclusive, one that you might not expect. Shadow of the Colossus. Now, this might not have realistic graphics, but there's no denying the graphical beauty here. The world manages to seem so pretty yet so dead at the same time. Then you have the scenes where you're hanging out in that temple, and just the way the sun shines in is like heavenly. Then, of course, the Colossus, which look absolutely freaking perfect. They have the skin texture of a dog's nose, and you can really see it, and then the fur on them sometimes looks really stupid good. The way it all sways in the wind while they're moving, and the way it parts to the side when you're climbing through it or just walking towards it, and all textures on the PS4 Pro is where the game shines. Super smooth FPS and super crisp resolutions depending on which mode you set it in. Just damn, man. Bluepoint absolutely killed it in this rebuild. Kudos to them over there. Now at number 7, hot off the heels of Assassin's Creed Origins, we have Assassin's Creed Odyssey. Origins made it onto our list last year, and with Odyssey, Ubisoft did it again. The world is super bright and colorful. Greece looks amazing and is colorful. It's like almost looks like it's someone jacked up the saturation. The world also feels really alive. Sailing around and seeing an island pop up off in the distance is so cool because it makes you want to explore more of the world. And there's a lot more to explore. The fact that this world is so big and looks so good and is so explorable is really impressive. It also makes great use of HDR. You can also see pretty much as far as the eye can see when you're in Eagle Vision. Seeing just how the map is rendered and how this is all possible and the tech behind it is amazing because this is a big world to render pretty much instantly. And plus it really helps that it's a lot of fun to explore too. And next up at number 6, we have Shadow of the Tomb Raider. And these games have always looked really great, especially on PC. Whether Lara is running around in a village, or caves, or underwater passageways, jungles, tombs, you name it, it always looks really good. The way the light shines down through the trees and reflects light on wet surfaces really makes you feel like you're looking at an actual jungle. Lara herself also looks great. Her facial animations are on point. Not to get weird, but like you can see the muscle tone definition in her arms and the way the hair graphics work better than ever. This even manages to be really good on console too. Setting it to focus on FPS gives it a very crisp 60 FPS if you're capable, and you can set it to focus on resolution. It does a pretty good job there too. Obviously not matching PC performance, but it's pretty damn close. And just in general, wherever you're playing it, it's a very impressive game. Now next at number 5, we have SpiderMan. Now I know you've all heard this 1,000 times from 1,000 other people, but this game really does do a good job at making you feel like Spider-Man. Hey, not only in the way it controls, but also the way it looks, especially during the daytime parts of the game, or anytime. Spider-Man's suit looks really bright and crisp, and seeing it against the New York City skyline is very pleasing on the eyes. Swinging through Manhattan super fast and seeing the reflection of other buildings in the buildings that you're swinging past, and then swinging down to the streets, and seeing that the game looks just as good there as it does up top is great. It does a really good job at making you feel kind of like you're in New York City. Like, yeah, we can tell it's not a perfect recreation, but it's pretty damn close. They nail the feel. And let's talk about photo mode. Photo mode just does a really amazing job at showing off how Spider-Man looks. The detail is just incredible. For example, like the Scarlet Spider suit. You zoom in on that in photo mode and just see the detail that went into that suit. It's unreal. We just love Spider-Man, honestly. Now, next at number 4, this should almost be a given, but Forza Horizon 4 is an absolute looker. As one of the best looking driving games, it's not quite as buttery smooth as its mainline Forza cousin, but man, not only do the cars look sharp and realistic, but you get the whole open world to drive through that serves as a representation of English and Scottish countryside, and it all streams in at lightning fast pace and looks super gorgeous. So whether it's on Xbox or PC, the game serves up good looking weather effects that you need to see to believe. For us, it's worth the price of admission if you're into drooling over graphics. Now, coming down to the final 3, we got God of War. This one right here. Damn. This is just one of those games that you can tell someone to pick up if they got a PS4 Pro and a nice shiny TV and they want to see what this thing is capable of. Everything here is just beautiful, from the creepy, crusty enemies to Kratos and his weird faded white skin at this point, even the hairs on his beard. There's just detail everywhere. The game also does color very well. A lot of the environment in God of War is very dead or covered in snow, but there are little bits of color in the environment that just really pop. Then you get the areas like the Witch's Sanctuary that is just popping with color, and seeing that God of War really takes advantage of HDR, the color is almost overwhelming, but like in a good way. This is also another game this year that just had like a fantastic photo mode. Photo modes are really good at making you realize how good the game really looks. Snapping a photo like mid-action and seeing Kratos' face as he swings his axe with a trail of magic coming off of it, and Atreus up in the air shooting arrows. It's just seeing how it connects with an enemy and seeing the background, all of this going on in one photo just shows how stunning this game can really look, whether it's in motion or in photo mode. This is another one you gotta see in person. Because next at number 2, we have Battlefield 5. Hey man, a lot of people are angry at Battlefield this year. You do you, but there's no denying that it looks really good. I think Battlefield 1 raised the bar, and Battlefield 5 keeps it up, definitely. The raw graphical goodness of effects and lighting textures is enhanced by how cool some of the multiplayer maps look. Bombed out cities and a map centered around a giant exploded twisted steel bridge really just allows the graphics to flex their muscles, if that makes sense. Does that make sense? Whatever, moving on to number 1, finally, we have Red Dead Redemption 2. I think we all knew this game was gonna make it onto the list one way or another, but Red Dead 2 is one of the prettiest console games of this generation. I mean, it is a Rockstar game, they've proven that they know what they're doing over there, but the open world here is absolutely stunning. Walking through the deep woods, watching all the foliage blow in the wind, and then looking up through the trees to see the light shining down through the trees, it's all just so good looking. The detail through the world, too, is impressive, whether it be Arthur falling into the mud and coming up covered in mud, or seeing a body decay over time. Then the facial animations here are also super on point. Playing on an Xbox One X in native 4K is absolutely the way to go on this one right now, if you have the option. Yeah, the HDR isn't up to par on the consoles, but the game's detail combined with how alive it all really looks makes it absolutely worth experiencing. And I know, although as number 1, it's not on PC, which really holds it back in terms of reaching the pinnacle, we think it still comes really damn close. These are the best video game graphics we experienced in 2018 in terms of raw graphical power. But of course, this is our top 10, so we want to know yours down in the comments. If you played a lot of games or maybe watched a lot of games this year, whatever you experienced, what do you think has the absolute best graphics in terms of power? Let's discuss that down in the comments, but if you enjoyed this video or maybe learned a thing or two, clicking the like button helps us out a ton, man. We really appreciate it. And if you guys are new, you should consider subscribing and hitting that notification bell because we put out new videos every single day. But as always, thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.